FY 2027 millage rate hearing. This is the second of our 3 millage rate hearing installment series. Our next one is scheduled for June 10th. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Superintendent Scott, you ready for roll call?
Yes, Madam President. Heidi Hensley, Mary P. Bagby, Linda Davis.
Here.
Dr. Patricia Yeager.
Here.
Tim Denson.
Here.
Dr. Mumby Anderson.
Here.
Dr. Lakeisha Gant. Nicole Hull. Mark Evans.
Here.
All right, we do have a quorum, so we will proceed with the agenda as presented. And our first item is to adopt the agenda.
Make a motion that we adopt the agenda as written.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Evans and seconded by Dr. Yeager. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, yep, that motion passes. Now we are on to our millage rate hearing. Mr. Greiner?
Right. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Good evening. Lisa, do we have? Oh, sorry. Oh, I gotcha. Okay, there we go. All right. So just want to go through a few slides on the millage rate. Keeping in mind back on May 14th that at the last board meeting, the millage rate was tentatively set at 18.8 mils, which is the same as last year. This year's reassessment of properties here in Athens-Clarke County produced a tax increase of 4.25%, with the millage rate being at 18.8 mils. So the rollback rate would have been 18.033. That would have, doing some calculations on that, if we went back to the rollback rate, that would take about $5 million out of our fund balance or reserves. So just keep that in mind, that would have been the effect if we'd have went back to the rollback rate. Instead of we're adding, with the budget a little over $1 million, we would have taken $5 million out of reserves. So again, most property owners will probably see an increase. Some may not. Notices went out in May. I think a key point is any resident over 65, their assessed value is frozen. Did a little research on that last night. You basically fill out the homestead exemption with the tax commissioner's office. That sets that in place. Once you turn 65, your value is frozen. School tax only. Many years ago, the school board decided to do that as an extra exemption. ACC Gov has a variation of it, but it does not freeze the value. They have like a floating, it's like a it's a $25,000 exemption, I think, but it doesn't freeze the property value. And they have some different exemptions we don't have. Senate Bill 33, just want to touch on that a little bit, will not take effect until the 27 digest. It caps the amount of assessed increase on homesteaded property, so that's your primary residence, at a rate of inflation. For this past year, that would have been 2.7%. So keep in mind, our digest typically goes up. We'll see on the next slide about 6% this year. So we're going to feel the effect of that next year. So that's, again, the consideration for leaving the millage rate at the same this year is some of the effects of tax legislation that will affect us next year in the budget. So, property tax assumptions, I won't go through all these. The biggest is the actual growth of the digest was 6.26. And you're saying, well, you just said reassessment was 4.25. Other factors, new construction, normal, typically that's around 2%. We hit 2.01%. And now keep in mind in FY26, that was an 8.66 increase. So we're starting to see some leveling off of property values a little bit. I think if you go back historical, other than those few years where it was just really high, I think we've always averaged about, in that 6%, 7% range here. Again, our estimated amount of the budget for property taxes is $154.6 million. If you do the math on that, it's close to between 55 and 60% of our total budget comes from property taxes on the revenue side. Property taxes, this just kind of shows what a mill's worth. You can see in 2020 it was 4.5 million. We've went up to 8.5 million in 26. So a $4 million increase there for what the value of 1 mil. A lot of times people ask you, what's 1 mil worth? You look at other school districts around us, a lot of people use that as comparison. So ours is worth 8.5 million. We have a good mix here of residential properties and commercial properties. I was looking at Barrow County's presentation last night and they had like 30-something slides. I don't want to do that, but but they had some really good comparisons in there showing what's residential property compared to what's commercial property. If you look at Athens-Clarke County, we have a really good balance of that here. So that actually will help us with Senate Bill 33 a little bit because we do have more commercial properties. So just keep that in mind for next year. Millage rate history. Again, from 19 to 22, we were at 20 mills. I think if you take the history back, it was at 20 mills, even going further back than that. 23, the board made a decision to lower that at 18.8, so this would be the 5th straight year we've kept it at 18.8. Dr. Anderson touched on this. We ran all the budget hearing, this is not a budget hearing, sorry, millage rate, the 5-year digest. We run the notice of these meetings. We're in compliance. All those have been sent to the tax commissioner's office. They're in agreement that we're good. From a compliance standpoint, I do that every year just to make sure I don't mess up anything. Next Wednesday night, we'll have our 3rd millage rate hearing. That will be a combined budget millage rate hearing. And then on June 11th, at the board meeting, the goal is approve the final budget and millage rate at that meeting. So that is my presentation. So I think next we have public input, and I thank y'all for allowing me to discuss it. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Greiner. I know yesterday we didn't open the floor to the board members for questions, but do you all have any questions? Since this would be the 2nd millage rate hearing and we didn't have any questions from last night, I just kind of want to make sure that there are no questions.
I just wanted to say thank you for bringing up the homestead exemption, because I think that's a really important aspect, that what we do is provide that for our seniors. It's an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I think a lot of districts have started adopting that. I think we were a little ahead of the curve on that. I know neighboring Barrow adopted it, I think, last year. I think theirs is actually higher. I think it's like 70, 72 is where their exemption starts. And I think it's a little different than ours, so yes, that's, and like I said, I went to the website last night. I was curious myself how you actually file for it. And there's a whole page on there if anybody has, go to exemptions under ACC Gov, and it tells you exactly how to fill that out. It's basically filing the homestead exemption. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right, so we will now move to our, thank you, Mr. Greiner.
Oh,
Yes,
no,
you
thank
can-
y'all. I appreciate it.
All right, so now we are at our public input, and I have my script here. So according to policy BCBI, each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak, and remarks must conclude when time expires. Signs, flags, and banners are not permitted in the meeting room. Public comment is limited to Clark County residents, representatives of Clark County businesses or organizations, or parents or guardians of CCSD students and district employees. Speakers may provide printed or supporting materials. Please give those to the superintendent or designee for distribution. Please remember that issues involving individual employees or students, as well as pending litigation, cannot be discussed during public comment. To protect student privacy, we ask that speakers refrain from identifying specific students by name. Disorderly, disruptive behavior, including yelling, excessive noise, profane language, or similar demonstrations, will not be permitted, as it disrupts the meeting and the ability of others to participate. Per policy, the board will not respond to comments during public participation. The district may follow up within 10 working days if appropriate. Finally, no individual or group will face retaliation for speaking during public participation. Thank you for helping us maintain a respectful and orderly environment. And now we have our first speaker up, is Robert C. Smith.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you for your service to the school district. Great schools are a great asset to this community, and we need great schools. I am maybe a little unusual. I don't mind paying my taxes. I appreciate paying my taxes. Here's the challenge. My tax assessment, so this is really an assessment issue, has doubled in the 4.5 years since I've lived in the house. Since I bought the house, it's gone up 30%. So my original tax bill was $12,000. My new tax bill is $25,000. I think I'm paying my fair share since I do not have kids in the Clark County School District. My kids are off and don't live anywhere. My point is, we have a problem where people, where there is an unfairness around the total tax bill that is being paid. Those of us who live in 5 Points, who live in other parts of the community, happy to pay our taxes, happy to do whatever, but we've got to resolve this issue of the distribution of the tax bill to all sources. And I'm going to point to one source, to our CFO. We have fraternity and sorority houses up and down Millage Avenue, that many of those houses, which house anywhere from 20 to 50 students who are paying $1,000 a month to live there, whose tax bill on that property is lower than the tax bill on my property. So that makes no sense at all. So from an assessment standpoint, we need to come to grips with what the parity is around what the overall tax bill that's going to be paid so that we can support our schools. Love to have the University of Georgia here. I'm a graduate of the school, love supporting the schools by supporting all the different things. But I don't like subsidizing their failure to pay their fair share of the services that are provided here. Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity to speak.
All right, thank you. And up next, we have Rita Rains.
Thank you so much for letting me speak again tonight. Maybe this is a little more together. Last night was just spare the moment. The information I'm going to present is from the Athens-Clarke County website and from the census.gov website, except the math at the end, which is my own, which I'm capable of doing. In Athens, we have about 116 square miles of Athens-Clarke County. We have 130,000 residents, 41,000 UGA students. 16.6% of our population is under the age of 18. 13% is over 65. The poverty rate is 27%. The median home value is $300,000. The median rent is $1,200. And again, these are from 2024, so it may be a little higher. Bank and rental agencies want a person to earn 3 times the going rate for rent or mortgage to qualify, with $52,000 being the median gross income for Athens-Clarke County. The average net pay is 72% of that, which would be about $31,000 a year. If you have to pay out $14,400 average or median for your rent or your mortgage, and you're bringing home $31,000, that leaves you $16,704 a year for every single thing else. And this fits me. Now, I don't make $52,000, but between my 2 jobs, I make about $43,000 gross. Net, I make less than $30,000. So it doesn't matter if you're a homeowner or you're a renter in this area, because you still suffer from whatever the person that owns the property has to pay out. And I just would encourage everyone to have a mindset of trying to include everyone's situation in the process of making a good choice. I work for the school district. Of course, I want to get paid, right? We have great educators here in Clarke County. We have good students. You guys all do a great job. I'm not knocking anybody. I just would like to say that we really do need to look very hard at how we are doing things. That way we can continue to do good things. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we do have a speaker that's not on my form, but is Robin Noonan here? Okay, yeah, we got you signed up. Come on up.
I just real quickly want to say I represent people that are retiring soon, and our property taxes are going to make it really difficult for us to retire comfortably. And we've been paying for this house for 25 years, and we'd like to stay in it. But if the property taxes keep going up, we're going to have to sell it, because I don't think we can maintain the lifestyle we'd like to have if they are raised anymore. So I'm just saying, consider the retirement community when you decide if you're going to make the property taxes go up even more. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other folks in the audience who want to speak? I know there's just like one other person besides the district staff. No? Good? Okay. So that will actually conclude our public input portion of tonight's meeting. And other than that, we don't have any other agenda items. So I'm welcoming a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
All right, motion made by, by Ms. Davis. And seconded by Mr. Evans. And all in favor of adjourning for the night? Raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week.